Welcome to this episode of the Million Dollar Mastermind. I'm Larry Weidel, and before we get started, if you want to know exactly how to win again and again, go to weidelonwinning.com/webinar now to watch something I've put together for you. Now let's get going into this episode of Million Dollar Mastermind. Bobby Gocool from Toronto, Canada, and the leader of a huge organization expanding already all coast to coast in Canada, but expanding down into New York. And so we have uh, competition coming from the north down into the U.S. Uh, can I ask you? This is just kind of behind the scenes, me and you talking about principles that you believe in, that you want, that will allow your business to be successful, that you've learned that were difference makers in um, your career, and kind of building blocks, concepts, ideas that you had. And it could be wrong ideas that you had or that someone told you, because we've all got bad advice along the way, but uh, uh, things you've learned to be true, maybe some things you've learned not to be true, but things that, some concepts that have made giving you encouragement. Like for me in my life, early on, I heard uh, people, mediocre people are a dime a dozen, but great people are priceless, and they're great ideas everywhere, but it's the people who implement those ideas that that's where the greatness is, and great ideas don't care who use them. You can have a criminal use a great idea and he's going to have success. So, little things like that, you got to be specific to be dynamic. And Bill Arender had a thing where it's like, I may not be good enough today, but I may be good enough tomorrow, and I can always improve. And so things like that, uh, they're not cliches, they are fundamental truths that you can use to help keep yourself on track. And I think because of our background and training, we all have different things that stand out. And so, what are some of those things for you?
Okay, Larry, I think one of the things, you go back, I go back to the founder of our company, and when he talks about, Art Williams talks about, you got to find a need in the marketplace
Hmm.
and develop a system to fill that need. And if you can fill that need more effectively than everyone, then you got a big upper hand. And so when I looked at our business, when I'm in today, I says, you know what? There's nobody out there really can do what we do this profitably. Make money and deliver great value. So I got excited about that. But one of my underlying thing has always been the price relationship. Because over the years, I sit with people and they talk about, I'd like to become a millionaire. I'd like to make $1 million a year. I'd like to become a million multi. I like to do all of this. And then I said, that is great. But what price are you willing to pay? Because if you want to have different accomplishments from what you are currently on track to have or you're experiencing, you've got to make some changes, which means you got to adapt and learn some new things, and you got to shed some things, right? What price are you willing to pay? And a lot of times I find people they like the prize, but they're unhappy with the price. So even in general marketing, that's why companies always have things on sale. And success is never on sale. Right. So
Yeah.
that's another thing that I have really sort of bought into, that, it's not on sale. The other thing that one of the other things that I bought in, which I learned from you and a lot of the leaders earlier, is that, even if your income grows and you don't grow personally, your income will not sustain itself. So you have to, as your income, sometimes your income may jump ahead of your personal development, but you got to keep growing, and you have to. And like, in one of the earlier conversations I had with you, is that it's the whole growth process and where you are seeing your role in your business and how your time is. So if I have a business that pays me $250,000 a year, and then suddenly my business starts to pay me $500,000 a year or $1 million a year, If my roles don't change, my level of thinking doesn't change, the things that are top priority doesn't change, chances are I may easily go back to a $250,000 a year business. So
Right.
these are things that I've looked at and I've learned from great leaders, and as my business has grown, I've looked at things to grow, but I've also looked at things to prevent it from not from going back to to lower numbers, and to instead of moving in a growth trajectory, to go in the opposite trajectory.
Well, how about quality of life? You came from Guyana,
Yes, Guyana.
and do you know? Is it the same part where Shelley Narain came from? Shelley and
That's right.
yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
and did uh, so you came to to build a dream life,
Yeah.
and you have done it. I mean, you're probably a legend in Guyana now. Do they uh, you correspond back and forth? What do they think about you and what you've done?
Well, you know what? I do correspond back and forth, and I've been doing stuff. As a matter of fact, along with a friend of mine, we have recently, we have sent thousands of dollars of books along. We have hooked up with the Canadian Society of Chemistry, and we have sent thousands of dollars of books to the two major university campuses. And so it's sort of like giving me a chance now, where I can really go back and do something significant in terms of helping. And so, in immigrating to North America, I came into Canada, got introduced to the world of business, went off, built a business. So now I get really excited about the fact that, I can now go back and really make a bigger difference than I would have maybe, 25 years ago.
And because of your success, they pay attention to you. You do
Of
have
course,
leverage,
of course, of course, of course. That's
and
it. Yeah.
I mean, it's inspirational for them to meet you, and when you give them books and things like that, they'll take all of that serious. Uh, Talk about your life in Canada. What is that like now? Your family, your friends, the kind of life you lead up there. There's got to be something that you enjoy up there in the winter up there because that's why basketball is so and hockey is so popular. Nobody wants to go outside.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, there's a lot of information online, but there aren't a lot of people who've actually done something. In my case, I've actually built a successful business that's accrued over $5 billion dollars in assets under management and has done well even during trying times. Now, if you want to know exactly how I've done this, go to whiteelmwinning.com/webinar now. I've compressed a decade of learning into 5 short weeks just for those of you who want to give yourself an incredible advantage and are tired of waiting and watching others move up.
But Larry, it's for one, I think from a personal standpoint, being successful in business has really enabled me to do a lot for my immediate family, extended family, and causes that I'm passionate about. But also in terms from living in Canada, you know what? As your success grows, where I live. A lot of my neighbors are very successful Canadian business people, right? I hang around in circles where I meet some of the top successful people in this country. So I don't think there was no way I would have got a chance to get to hang around, to learn, observe, and see. So that by itself has been such a huge accomplishment, because just the education that has come from that, and even the connections that I have today. There are a lot of times I may need something, and just a phone call, I know somebody who's successful in a particular field, and it's like, when you get into that world, you suddenly realize that certain people know certain people,
Yeah, that's
and
exactly
it's
right.
huge.
Exactly
Yeah,
right.
it is so huge. Yeah.
And you can't, when you're around other successful people, they can smell a phony a mile away. Uh, they can tell you're legitimate. I mean, they can hear the tone in your voice and know if they're dealing with, a phony or someone who has earned his way up the ladder.
Oh no, it is so true, Larry. And they know. And the thing is that, when you get around successful people, you realize that there's so much common. They may be totally different fields, totally, totally different industry. But the
Yeah,
common thing, there's success, and how they got there
yeah,
is usually the same. It's just that they had specialties in different industries.
yeah. And the thing. that's really why I wound up doing this podcast, and I wanted to do it for years because just like you wind up talking to so many super successful people outside of your business, and the commonality of thought and approach. The winner's approach, the serial winner's approach,
Yeah.
meaning the person who goes through life still has all the bad things happen everyone else has happened, but somehow can dodge, can weave, can take a punch and come back and stay on track and still get things done, not just in one area, but in all areas of their life. I mean, it's not, it's learning how to play the game of life successfully. And it's not, uh, it's complex in how it plays out, but it's kind of like human beings, there's commonality. Everybody breathes, everybody eats, everybody sleeps, and you can deprive yourself for limited periods of time on these things, but we all have weeks and months and years. There's patterns that if you take the time to learn the winning pattern of this, which I again talk about in the book, it and all of that stuff came from uh, just knowing, just observing how I figured things out, what I picked up from other people, the pattern that I had settled into, and that we all kind of approach things the same way. And as you, uh, but your family, I mean, it's also encourages you to stay on track because your peer group is not just uh, people inside your business. Your peer group are uh, super successful people in your friends in other walks of life, right? But, you couldn't go in there and start whining, and it's like, no, that's just not how we do things.
No, and it is the thing is, Larry, as you start to become successful and you don't realize it, but this suddenly starts to creep up. Suddenly you realize you're changing, your life is changing. It's just like an automated power of association.
Yeah,
As you go into different areas, you get introduced to different people. And like you said, when you get in that group of people who have worked hard and, being good at what they do, dedicated their time, apply the success principles and build something, you can, when you're in that crowd, even if someone comes in, and they're a phony, everybody can smell that person out.
yeah, yeah. And it's like on the subject of you never hear from a super successful person, well, Bobby, why are you still working so hard in your business? You never hear that from
Never,
somebody.
never, never. I have, you know what? I have never had, it's so unique. Funny you said, I've never had any of my friends, even within my business and outside my business, who
Yeah,
are very successul, hey, have ever made the comments like, hey, when are you going to slow down?
yeah.
What's wrong with you?
you know, like Angela, I was talking with Angela Williams once, years ago, and it was like, I said, so what do you say to the people that feel like, you say, Angela, do you feel like you and Art have arrived? Arrived. Have you arrived? She said, arrived? What are you talking about? You know, that's the kind of people who say, well, I have nothing left to prove. It's or like you've got nothing. You always have something to approve. To prove, not to approve, but you always have something to approve. You always have a challenge in front of you. You're gonna let it beat you, or you're going to attack it.
It is, but I guess, Larry, they say it's sometimes it's important what you get, but it's more what you become.
There you
And,
go.
and
There
I
you
think,
go.
I think when as you accomplish things, success, but then you become different. I mean, I like you say, people ask me sometimes, retire from what? I mean, I love what I do. Probably my dream is to I keep being involved, actively engaged. But as you said in one of your earlier conversations, right? Your role changes,
Right.
and so you can get, or and I tell people sometimes, as you accumulate success and wealth, you find a way to buy back your time. you know
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And this has been so much fun, Bobby. Thanks for taking the time this afternoon to talk. And I'm pulling for you to have to double your business this year. I think that is very, very possible.
That's very possible, Larry, and we are working hard on it, and I'm very confident we'll get it done. And it's always, I mean, it's a real honor. I mean, I'm really excited that I get to spend some time with you because
Oh, thank
I
you.
always admired and learned so much from you, and to
Thank
have
you.
this conversation with you, it's priceless.
Oh, I feel the same way. Thanks so much, Bobby. If you enjoyed what you've heard and are dead serious about finding out for yourself exactly how this works in the real world, I've taken the most valuable business lessons I've learned over 40 years and put them into something for you to watch. Go to whiteelementwinning.com/webinar now in order to move up as fast as possible. I'm Larry Weidel, and I run the $1 Million Mastermind. Go, go, go.